new way of.
This meeting is being recorded.
We have started a new way of introducing information that is useful for you. There are many scientists, doctors who wrote books, hundreds of them, about health and nutrition. But we have selected 52 books that are important, interesting, and you should know. Each book is approximately 250 to 300 pages or more. It is not practical to suggest that all of you read these books. Therefore, I have requested nutrition master level students, PhD level students to give the summary of these books, two each in one session. And this program is coordinated by Maunika Reddy, who is doing a PhD in nutrition at Symbiosis Institute in Pune. Maunika will select two books, two candidates who wrote the synopsis of these books, and they will present, and Maunika will handhold, coordinate, clarify if you have any doubts, either now or later. I'm also on the call, and if there is any need, I'll be glad to clarify, but the field of nutrition and health is dramatically moving forward. Therefore, these young nutritionists are better than us in explaining and clarifying. Still, I'll be on the call. Monica?
Yes, sir. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Today I'll be assisting along with Dr. Srinivas Rao, sir. So today there are two participants who are putting their nutrition books in synopsis through a presentation format. So one is Aditi Kaidevane, and the next candidate is Anandita Ghosh. So Aditi Deshmane is actually doing her PhD at Symbiosis University, and Anandita Ghosh is assistant professor serving at Symbiosis Institute of Health Sciences at Pune itself. So today, these both candidates will be presenting their nutrition book synopsis format with the presentation. So first, I'll be handing it over to Dr. Aditi. Sorry, yet to be Dr. Aditi Deshmane. She'll be presenting Good Calories and Bad Calories by Gary. So Aditi Deshmane, handing it over to you, and followed by Anandita Ghosh.
Thank you, Monica, for introducing me, and thank you, Srinivasa sir, for taking this initiative. Today, I'll be presenting a book review. Yeah. Just a second. On good calories and bad calories. Can you see the presentation slides?
Yes,
we can see it.
Yes.
Okay, so I am Aditi Deshmane, and I'm doing my PhD in nutrition and dietetics from Symbiosis Institute of Health Science, Symbiosis International University, Pune. And today I'll be presenting a book summary on good calories and bad calories by Gray Taubes. Gray Taubes is a brave and a bold science journalist who does not accept conventional wisdom, is what was written by the New York Times for him. So basically what he says is that obesity is caused by carbohydrates and not by gluttony and sloth. Here, great obese, I will introduce you in very short line. He is an investigative science and health journalist. In this book, he tries to bury the idea that the low-fat diet, it promotes weight loss and is better for health, which we usually say that it is an ideal diet. He says that this established wisdom of ideal diet is a result of confirmation biases, often due to the government selective funding. It is also said that research is interpreted to fit the hypothesis and hyper specialization of researches. And according to him, he says that obesity is caused not by the quantity of calories, but the quality of the calories which we eat. So according to him, carbohydrates, especially the refined ones like wheat, white bread, pasta, they raise the insulin levels in our body, which in turn promotes the storage of fat and therefore is the cause for obesity. Now, these are the chapters. He has presented his book in an argument base, like case by case. He has given one case and he has explained it that way and not in a old-fashioned narrative way. He has divided the book into three major parts. Part 1, the fat cholesterol hypothesis. Part 2, the carbohydrate hypothesis. Part 3, obesity and the regulation of weight. And each of these parts consists of at least 4 to 6 chapters. So now we look into each chapter in brief. So the part 1, the fat cholesterol hypothesis. Here, Taubes describes how we came to believe that heart disease is caused by the effect of dietary fats and particularly the saturated fats, which we already believe or we till now think that fats are responsible for heart diseases. So in the first chapter, he says that coronary heart disease was rare until it emerged in the 20s and it became the biggest killer. Then in the first half of the 20th century, the American diet was shifted from plant-based to animal food, which was high in saturated fats. And then the researchers found out that cholesterol was the primary substance in the atherosclerotic plaques, and therefore it was believed and said that dietary fat, especially the saturated fat, caused coronary heart disease. But according to him, he gave examples here explaining why this is wrong. First, he explained about the 34th US president who had first had his heart attack and became obsessed with his cholesterols. But despite having strict low-fat diets, he could not keep his cholesterols in controlled levels. And the doctors could not explain this reason, but they kept lying that no, fat is the only reason for this. Then also he explained that the increase of heart disease in 20th century or World War II was due to the result of new diagnosis and technologies emerging. And thirdly, he also said that a scientist called Keyes, he was the driving force behind the fat cholesterol hypothesis. He was the one who said that dietary fats, especially the saturated fats, lead to cardiovascular diseases. Then in the second chapter, he says that scientists figured out how to measure the cholesterols, and thus they became very fascinated about this cholesterol and propagated it as a cause of heart disease, despite there was considerable evidence to the contrary. Here again, he has given few of the studies which were conducted, and then he has given the facts that this again is false, because there were many confirmation biases in this controversy. People were only looking at the supporting evidence and they were dismissing any contradicting evidence. Secondly, he also showed that there was no evidence of benefits of low fat or low saturated diets. In third chapter and in fourth chapter, the creation of consensus and the greater goods, here he explained that first the Senator George McGovern announced the publication of dietary goals for the United States, and this was the major event that created the controversial wisdom conscience. This was where people started to actually believe that fats were responsible for heart diseases. And secondly, the opposing evidence could not call the hypothesis into question because it would be immediately discarded as being inconsistent with the totality of the evidence. So here he says that once the politics, the public, and the press had decided on the benefits of low-fat diet, the science was left to catch up. Then comes the part 2. Here, he has explained the carbohydrate hypothesis. The first chapter in part 2 is diseases of the civilization. He explains that eating less carbohydrates and more meat and fat is the cause of the diseases of civilization. And these diseases include cavities, obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, hypertension, and stroke, cancer, then other diseases such as appendicitis, peptic ulcers, diverticulitis, gallstones, hemorrhoids, and many more. And he explains this as an updated version of the changing American diet story. Here he has given example like the migrants who shifted from their original place to other places, changed their basic diet, which was plant-based, to more refined diet, which included carbohydrates, fats, etc. And this led to the diseases of civilization. But again, he gives the reasons to what you can say contradict these facts. Like he said that meat-eating American Indians or Inuits were having high-fat diets from first, but they did not have any signs and symptoms of these diseases of civilization. He also said that isolated population eating the traditional diet essentially never got diseases. Then the grains were eaten in whole meals. There was very little sugar in the diet. And these diseases appeared with introduction of white flour and sugar into the diet. So here he proposed the carbohydrate hypothesis. He said that these were the reasons why we should not believe fat is bad and sugar is good. Then in the second chapter, diabetes and the carbohydrate hypothesis, here he explains that sugar and white flour, which is easily digestible carbohydrates that spike the blood sugar and then strains the pancreas. He explains how diabetes, what diabetes is, what are the symptoms. And then what happens is he says that Jocelyn, who is said to be the king of diabetes research, who also refused to believe that refined carbs were the reason. And he said that all carbs are equal, whether it is refined or not. So this eventually killed the carbohydrate hypothesis. And again, the old belief of ideal diet was practiced. But the facts given by Taubes says that it cannot explain the healthy traditional meat-eating population. The meat-fat intake correlated with diabetes rates, but so did the sugar and white flour. So as there were evidences that fat intake was correlated with diabetes, but there was researches showing that sugar is also equally responsible for diabetes. But since Keyes hypothesis dominated the US, this refined carbohydrate hypothesis was once again discarded. Third chapter in part 2 is fiber. Here, the refined carbohydrate hypothesis was morphed into the fiber hypothesis. This led to the idea that lack of fiber caused obesity, and fiber hypothesis took off in the media. Again, it had to be paired with anti-fat message, that is, fat is causative and fiber is protective. So again, carbohydrates were not considered, but fiber were considered here. Then in fourth chapter, the science of the carbohydrate hypothesis. Here again, Taubes has given two examples, like salt hypertension hypothesis, for example, is one which I have mentioned here, according to him, an example of bad science, because looking at the part in isolation rather than the integrated whole. Here, isolated parts like salt for hypertension were considered as the causative factors, and therefore salt was said to be bad for hypertension. But again, Taubes gives examples like westernization brought refined carbohydrates, meats, fats, and salts into the diet, but carbs, basically the increased intake of carbs caused water retention. Then insulin also stimulates the nervous system, which raises the blood pressure, and thus carbohydrates should be said to be the cause of hypertension, but again, no salt was chosen to be the reason behind the hypertension. Here, he said that scientists accepted the effect of insulin on chronic diseases, but they interpreted this evidence as saying nothing about an unique insulin elevating properties of refined carbs. They said, yes, insulin is the reason, but did not say that refined carbohydrates are the reason behind increased insulin in our body. In chapter 5th, the triglycerides and the complications of cholesterol. Here, Taubes says that the oversimplification of the science was the main reason for we believing in the ideal diet. He says that many studies were conducted on different types of cholesterol, such as HDL, LDL, triglycerides, VLDL, and all of these findings showed that there was a correlation between triglycerides with heart disease. And it was more as compared to total cholesterol, and low fat, high carb diet raised triglycerides. But again, the fact was that the focus was shifted on the dangers of lowering HDL levels rather than the dangers of carbohydrates and high triglyceride levels in our body. In chapter 6, the role of insulin, he simply explains that high carbohydrate diet leads to more insulin production, which again leads to more triglycerides, and thus the carb increases the risk of heart disease. He has given the examples how this process takes place. Then in the significance of diabetes chapter, he has explained that this diabetes is the further continuation of a metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome is a disease where your triglyceride levels, LDL levels, cholesterol levels, blood sugar levels, insulin levels are increased. So he said diabetes was the further caused due to the continuum of this metabolic syndrome. And he explains that the increased levels of insulin in our body, blood sugars, and formation of advanced glycation end products are the main cause of heart disease in diabetic population. He said how it was seen that pre-diabetic people also had high levels of insulin, then blood sugars higher than the normal led to the formation of advanced glycation end products, which cause aging or oxidative stress, and therefore leading to heart diseases. Then in the 8th chapter, sugar, he said that here at this point, fructose, high fructose corn syrup was introduced and led to a significant increase in sugar consumption, because it was said that this fructose is not considered as sugar, which is glucose, we say. But according to him, again, fructose is much more reactive and forms this advanced glycated end products more easily. And the produced AGEs are more resistant and damaging by by normal sugars. So once the research on the effect of fructose came out saying that it is better, it was hard to change the official opinion that fructose was harmless. And in the last chapter of part 2, the carbohydrate hypothesis, he said that dementia, cancer, aging, again, these are said to be the diseases of civilization. And again, the combination of high fat, high calorie diet, physical inactivity, and excessive weight is the main reason for these diseases. But again, he gives the examples and explanation that insulin increases the incidence of dementia. Then cancer is caused by the internal conditions that nurture the cancerous cells, but not by mutation. And longevity, when food is abundant, insulin and IGF, that insulin-like growth factor activity increases and stimulates growth, maturity, and reproduction. Whereas when food is in scarce, such activities are reduced and long-term survival is favored. Then in the third part, obesity and the regulation of weight, he has explained a few of the studies which told us about the obesity and the belief which we had about the obesity. Which is based on the assumptions that excessive weight results from excessive calorie consumption and or physical inactivity. This is also called as the gluttony sloth hypothesis, and the thrifty gene hypothesis, where humans were said to evolve under an unpredictable food supply, hence our propensity to store fat. So these were the two basic assumptions which made us to believe that obesity was the cause of excessive calorie consumption. But again, he gave reasons that he said that these obesity researches hardly deserve to be called as science, because the increase in the calories since the 70s has been primarily from carbohydrates, and it was seen that fat intake has fallen. And there were no evidence that the Paleolithic food supply was unpredictable or alternated between the abundance and scarcity, which led to the thrifty gene hypothesis. So again, he contradicts these two assumptions. Then in the second chapter, hunger, again he gave examples of two semi-starvation studies where the population or the patient were given low-calorie diets, but again the results showed that there were more negative effects of low-calorie than more good effects, such as people constantly had complaints of hunger. They increased the chances of binge eating among them. So these were the two main semi-starvation studies conducted. Then second point, he mentions that positive energy balance hypothesis, where weight gain is a result of energy intake exceeding the expenditure. And third reason, which he says that the other side of the equation, since calorie restriction is ineffective, then by the process of isolation, again, energy expenditure must be the key to weight control. So this is how we were made to believe, according to Thomas, that excessive weight is the reason of excessive calorie consumption. But according to him, he says this is an assumption, which we say that hunger is a psychological phenomenon, a question of willpower, but he says it is a physiological drive to get enough calories by our body. That's why we get hungrier after exercise or after not eating a few hours. Then in the third chapter, paradoxes, he answers few questions like obesity, is it psychological or biological, that is physiological? Then why does the gluttony sloth hypothesis persists? So here again, he gives examples and he says that the cause of obesity is biological and not psychological, because obese people don't gain weight endlessly. They stabilize at a certain weight, and that the overeating is the symptom of obesity and not the cause. He says that we have correlated it with the output. The excess eating of calories are being correlated with the output. Now, if a child is eating more calories, but we say the output is, that is, he is growing. Similarly, when pregnant ladies eat more calories, they say it is because of the growth development of the fetus. But here he again says that no, it is not the main cause, but it is just the symptom of any disease. Then in fourth chapter, conservation of energy, again the conventional wisdom is founded or grounded on two misinterpretations of the thermodynamic law, that is the calorie balance equation. The first misconception is association implies cause and effect, which I already explained. The cause of eating excess calories and the effect of that eating excess calories. Here he explains it does not indicate which is the cause and which is the effect. And the second misconception is that the energy intake and expenditure are independent variables. That is, a change in one does not affect the other. But the fact here, he explains that any attempt to change energy stores by changing the intake or the expenditure will be compensated for by the body's regulatory system. That is, intake and expenditure are adjusted to achieve the desired amount of energy storage. And secondly, he says that the crucial factor is not the intake or the expenditure of calories, but the distribution, like how much the body stores and how much is available to the cell. Then in the fifth chapter, fattening diets, he says that the hunger, satiety, and physical activity are all physiologically regulated, not psychologically. He is given examples. Then in reducing diets, he again has said that deficiency diseases are not necessarily caused by insufficient intake, but by the wastage caused by refined carbohydrates. And in the last chapter of the part 3 is the unconventional diets. Again, he gives examples of few diets and say that weight loss and hunger can be largely independent of the calories. So in last, he summarizes all these three parts in the carbohydrate hypothesis. First hypothesis is fat metabolism. Second is insulin. Third is the hunger and satiety. So again, in these chapters, he has given the gist of all what has been explained in all these three parts mentioned above. So finally, he gives few conclusions on basis of his investigation. He says that dietary fat, whether saturated or not, is not a cause of obesity, heart disease, or any other chronic disease of civilization. Second, the problem is the carbohydrates in the diet, their effect of insulin secretion, and thus the hormonal regulation of homeostasis, the entire harmonic ensemble of the human body. The more easily digestible and refined the carbohydrates, the greater effect on the health, weight, and well-being. Third, he says that sugars, may be it sucrose or fructose, are particularly harmful, probably because the combination of fructose and glucose simultaneously elevates the insulin levels while overloading the liver with carbohydrates. Through their direct effect on insulin and blood sugar, refined carbohydrates such as starches, sugars are the dietary cause of coronary heart disease and diabetes. They are most likely the cause of other diseases such as cancer, Alzheimer's as well. Obesity, it is a disorder of excessive fat accumulation and not overeating or sedentary behavior. Then he says that consuming excessive calories does not cause us to grow fatter any more than it causes a child to grow taller. So it affects, and the cause is explained here. Expending more energy than we consume does not lead to long-term weight loss. It leads to hunger. Then seventh point, he mentions that fattening and obesity are caused by an imbalance in the hormonal regulation of adipose tissues and fat metabolism. He says that fat synthesis and storage exceed the mobilization of fat from the adipose tissue and its subsequent oxidation. We become leaner when the hormonal regulation of fat tissue reverses this balance. Then he also says that insulin is the primary regulator of fat storage. When insulin levels are elevated either chronically or after a meal, we accumulate fat in our fat tissues. When this insulin level falls, we release fat from our fat tissues and use it as a source of fuel. By stimulating insulin secretion, carbohydrate make us fat and ultimately cause obesity. Therefore, he says the fewer carbohydrates we consume, the leaner we will be. And lastly, he says that by driving fat accumulation, carbohydrates also increase hunger and decrease the amount of energy we expend in metabolism and physical activity. Thank you.
Thank you, Aditi. The floor is now open to questions, ma'am, if anybody has.
Hi, my name is Neelam. I have a question. Like fructose is present in, we should avoid eating fructose, right? But it is present in so many food items.
Yes, so my answer is that moderation will always be the key. So anything which you eat in a limited quantity, not very high amounts, or it is also bad to avoid it totally.
But like apples and peas and
Yeah, right. But they have fibers also again. So we have to balance between the bad effects and the good effects of that food which we have.
Oh, okay. Got it. Thank you.
Please unmute yourselves if you have any questions or such.
So what about the good calories? My name is Kiran.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. So you said it's the difference between bad calories. So which things have bad calories? Which are the ones?
See, according to Tobis, carbohydrates are the bad calories and not the fats.
Okay, so It's hard to differentiate between them. How do we
Yeah, so
difference?
basically, which I mentioned earlier, that moderation is the key. No single nutrient is good or bad. All are required for our body's natural functioning. Therefore, moderation is the key.
But if you are vegetarian, is it okay? Like,
Yes, it's okay. There are few nutrients which we do not get from vegetarian food sources. But yes, by adding supplements or adding foods, what we can say, a balanced diet, we can uh, get all the required nutrients for our body.
thank you.
Yeah, but carbohydrates means rice and chapati. I'm a vegetarian, so I eat vegetables and plus the roti and the thing, because I don't feel like satisfied if I don't eat just vegetables.
Nice.
So I need like sometimes.
Yeah,
Yes.
the total calories which are required for you, depending upon your age, the activity which you do is very important. So if you wish to have rice or chapati, then the portions are very important. You have to compensate if you have extra chapati in your meal today because the vegetables which you had were good, you like them, then the calories you got from that extra chapati have to be compensated by something else in your diet. So at the
Like,
end of the day, the total calories should be the same.
so do you just some calories, like it should be, the roti should be like 60 calories or something like that?
It depends upon the size, ma'am. Now, I stay in Kolhapur. The Kolhapur chapati is made up of almost 60 to 80 grams and with lot of oil. So that one chapati will only give you 100 and 200 calories. And if you see a Gujarati fulka, it would be of only 15 to 20 grams. So
Okay.
again, the calories would depend upon the size, what size the chapati is, weight of that chapati.
Even the fulkas, like,
Yeah,
because they're so thin,
regular
you can't.
size pulka is of 30 grams.
30 grams. Okay.
Yeah, and that's
So how many one should
around
eat that?
100 calories.
Two at a time?
It will
Then-
depend upon the total calorie requirement of the person.
Okay.
And
And what about bananas? Does it have a lot of calories?
it does have calories, but if we have them in between the meals and not along with a meal, they are good, beneficial.
Okay. Because for me, bananas agree with my stomach instead of orange and other fruits. So acidity like
Right.
thing. So I know, because sometimes I eat 2 bananas a day. So is it too much?
Not too much if you have it calculated in your diet, daily requirement.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
So for the good cholesterol to keep in the body, what would be ideal to have that?
To have a good cholesterol,
Yeah.
a
Because
good
if your
yeah,
cholesterol is high, to reduce that and make sure the good cholesterol is better in your body.
Yeah.
So what would be ideal to have that?
To reduce the cholesterols in our body, high fiber diet would be more useful.
Mhm.
And when you are consuming fats, they should be also of a good quality. That is what you can say, MUFA and the PUFAs, and not the saturated fats.
So is olive oil considered a good fat, saturated for?
Yeah, but again, the quantity which you have will matter.
I see.
Being olive oil said to be a good fat does not allow you to take it in excess quantity.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
And like they say, fish is good for that. Is that good?
Yeah, fish is definitely good, but again, the way we cook the fish will
Right.
affect the calories. If you deep fry it,
Yeah.
then all the nutrients would be
Nutrients.
lost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
To add on to Aditi, also there like too much of omega-3 and or omega-6 is always harmful, because omega-6, which is considered as one of the carcinogen, too much of omega-6 is carcinogenic. So there should always be a balance between omega-3 6 fatty acids and omega-6 fatty acids, which is 4:1. So this good combination of NuFast will be more beneficial rather than having one concentrated or too much of omega-3 or omega-6 fatty acids.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I see Vimla aunty unmuting. Vimla aunty, you have any other question to ask?
No, thank you.
Welcome.
It's very useful for me. The dieting, I'll appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aditi, for wonderful presentation and it was a comprehensive presentation by author Gary Taubes. It was really nice presentation.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Uh,
you.
So now the main question is this, and because Miss Aditi Deshmukh made a full, wonderful presentation,
Yeah.
it went up to 43 minutes.
Oh,
No, we don't want to cut it. I have been monitoring. Definitely, we don't want to cut when you are having a flow and people are appreciating, you are giving the right information. Of course, all this can be compressed, but we are not in a hurry. We are not doing just for the sake of doing. We are doing so that people can understand, implement, and today itself, they can change their mind, they can change their food, and they can improve their health. Now the question comes, the second presentation. Monica, what shall we do? Because there's no time. It's only 15 minutes left. It will be unfair for her. The second one, Ghosh, right?
Anandita Ghosh, yes.
Anandita Ghosh. Are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Yes, she's
Yeah.
She's
Can
there.
you, can we?
Yes,
can you,
I'm there.
Yeah. Can you switch on your video and so that we can introduce and schedule yours the next time?
That would be okay, sir. That would be really good. Though I had prepared for 15 minutes, I can, really do it in 15 minutes. But yes, I can do.
Then if it is 15 minutes, please do it. Okay.
Because
no waste of time. Geeta ji, if need be for questions, we have to extend for 5 minutes.
No
or
problem.
get the
Okay.
questions and then make them pass. Please.
No problem. Yeah, we can do
Miss Anandita Ghosh.
So I'll be sharing my PPT. So I hope everyone can see my PPT, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So very good evening. My name is Anandita Ghosh and I am an assistant professor. I'm also currently doing my PhD in Symbiosis Institute of Health Sciences. When this opportunity had come, I was really very, tensed and anxious to select a book, because all the books had ranged from like 100+ pages. And, I thought that reading a book will be, very boring when it is all theory. Okay, because we do not want to, read so much. So that is why I chose this book, which was written by Barbara Ruy. So Miss Barbara Ruy, she is actually a practicing dietitian. I was a practicing dietitian before, and she understood this problem of people not reading much. and she found out a way to express her opinion on anti-inflammatory foods for health by producing a recipe book. Okay, so this recipe book had been very beneficial for the readers because they could indulge in these recipes. They could become very energetic. They could be involved, and they would be following her footsteps, or they would be following her ideas also. Okay, talking about the author, Barbara Roy is RD, and she is a RD in a foreign country, and she is under the program manager at Johns Hopkins Weight Management Center. She has got around 16 years of experience in dealing with obesity and all kinds of inflammatory problems like cardiac disease, cancer, all these things. So, and she explains that anti-inflammatory foods for health is very important because the way you change your diet will be, leading your future days. They will be influencing your future days. So she had given 100 ideas or 100 recipes where she infused or incorporated different omega-3 rich foods to fight arthritis, cancer, heart disease, and more. So I'll just directly jump to the, the things which she has told. So the concept of the book is, as I said, it's prevention is better than cure. Now she said when, inflammation is actually a very, normal physiological thing. So whenever you cut your hand or you cut your feet, there is clotting. So it is a normal physiological process. Same way, inflammation is also a very normal physiological process. Whenever you give a cut, that place becomes red, it becomes swollen. That is the body's mechanism of dealing with the cut. But whenever this inflammation in the body, due to various reasons, come into a very negative picture, they try to hamper the organ system, and they lead to a lot of diseases. So she mentioned that inflammatory disorders like rheumatoid arthritis, like heart disease, and all non-communicable disease like diabetes, or cancer, all these diseases, they are expanding in the population. The goal of the book was for her to reduce the risk of such inflammatory disorders, and by changing one's diet to include daily meal preparation and planning. So now you can see that she did not give only advice or theoretical knowledge, but wanted to make these ideas very applicable in practical scenario. So all these are very practical recipes which she has performed. She has given very big, bright pictures. She had given the different criteria, how to make it, what portion size to choose, what nutritional information it will give. She has explained it in a very good way. The other goal is to understand the inflammation and knowing how to include anti-inflammatory foods in diet each day and covering the anti-inflammatory action plan. So what makes this book reading very worthwhile? There are a variety of 100 healthy, flavorful, wholesome recipes, and I request every one of you to go through this so that you can prevent the upcoming inflammatory problems in your life. Attractive pictures are there. There are stepwise tips to control the inflammation. There is an extensive scientific analysis where she makes the population understand the relationship between the anti-inflammatory foods and the health benefits. She gives information on how to choose anti-inflammatory foods, how much to eat, how to plan meals, and what tools you can use while you're cooking. The book has been divided in 5 chapters. First, she explains what is inflammation and disease. There she tells what causes inflammation, how this inflammation is going to lead you to a disease, and how you can reverse it. In the next chapters, she shows use of different omega-3 foods, like omega-3 rich, protein foods like fishes, as we in the previous lecture, in the previous session, Aditi ma'am had told that the fish is good in omega-3, flax seeds are good in omega-3. So how to utilize this omega-3 and producing the different recipes for boosting the omega-3s in the diet. Adding in different kind of antioxidants. So what are antioxidants? Antioxidants are different food products that helps in reducing cancer, like colored vegetables, colored fruits, and the fabulous fiber. That is the fourth chapter where they tell about the role of fiber in reducing the inflammation. Changing the energy balance. That is how energy balance, as Aditi madam has told previously, that what kind of energy you are eating and how you are expressing it in your day-to-day life, how you're utilizing the energy, how you're shedding out the energy, how you're balancing your energy is very important. And the last chapter is be carb savvy. That is how to save your carbs, what kind of carbs to use, how to use the carbs, how much to use these carbs. So coming to the first chapter, which is the inflammation and the disease. So she said the mechanism of the disease process due to inflammation, where various types of inflammatory chemicals are getting produced in the bloodstream by metabolically active adipose tissue, that is your cells, and travel to organs like hearts and the cells of different organ systems like the lungs, joint, and central nervous system. And these chemicals, they cause cancer, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, cardiovascular disease, high amount of cholesterol in the blood, asthma, and how they also regulate our emotions, our moods. So these omega-3s, what they do is they compete with the other cell components for space. And thus they have a very good impact on inflammation. They reduce the inflammation. So this author has used this in the book and planned a strategy to raise the intake of omega-3 fatty acid and reduce the intake of omega-6 fatty acids to maintain the ideal ratio of 4:1 of omega-6 to omega-3, which is very beneficial for the heart. And also use the guidelines given by American Heart Association, which advises eating fish, especially fatty fish, at least 2 times a week and consuming 2 grams of omega-3 fatty acid each week, so that the triglyceride level, the lipid levels are very good. He has also related some questions that what else in our diet is inflammatory. So she has given different kind of low glycemic index, like low sugar carbohydrates, or high fat foods, or gluten. All these are very inflammatory in nature. So she has said that you should go for low fat, mostly Mediterranean style diets, which include monounsaturated fatty acids. They have whole grains, lean meats and fish, fruits and nuts, and they are linked to lower levels of inflammation. She also said that does food preparation influence the inflammation process? And there she proposed that the development of heat generated advanced glycation in products, that is when you are overcooking a food, there is chemical generation, which is called the AGE. And these AGEs, they increase the LDL, that is a bad cholesterol, and inflame the body. And it is better to steam or lightly saute the food to decrease the inflammation by food preparation strategies. She showed that in each recipe, if you do it step by step, by giving the instructions she has provided, the serving recommendations and the nutritional information, then the amount of cholesterol and micronutrients would be such that it will reduce the inflammation in the body. She has given guidelines that while starting the journey towards cooking and eating anti-inflammatory foods, the author told that these guidelines will be very important to reduce the inflammation. Consuming fewer calories per serving and in moderation. Consuming fewer calories results in lighter body weight, which reduces inflammation. Eating more good fats and less bad fats. Eating more high fiber, low glycemic food, carbohydrates, and cutting back on sugar and refined carbohydrates. So these are the guidelines she provided. Consuming good amount of fruits and vegetables, as they're very high in antioxidants. using in inflammatory blocking herbs, just like garlic, mint. All Indian kitchen has a good amount of spices that are loaded with antioxidants. And using the spices when cooking will also help in reducing the inflammation. In chapter 2, she tells us about boosting the omega-3s, and she tells that using flaxseed oil, canola oil, is very good for reducing the inflammatory effects in the body. She also explains how to create new eating patterns and also discusses how to plan and execute recipes by taking simple actions like making a useful shopping list, purchasing useful kitchen tools, and properly storing and cooking all anti-inflammatory foods so that it benefits the health. She offers specific advice like ideal cooking temperature to use, which vegetable to be cooked for what time, so that you get the beneficial effects while steaming or gentle sauteing, so that the body is can use that micronutrients and nourish itself. For maximum nutritious value, more fiber to leave the skins on in many fruits and vegetables, as they have very high amount of phytochemicals or antioxidants. She also said that organically cultivated vegetables, they have a high benefit because they have reduced amount of toxins like pesticides and insecticides. So that does not create any inflammation in the body. So she also said that the use of foods high in omega-3 fatty acids such as flaxseed, fatty fish, and combination of oils, and produce various recipes using them. In the chapter 2, that is in adding antioxidants, she said that the idea of antioxidants, phytochemicals, and the process by which they reduce the oxidative stress to the readers, that is reducing cancer, the mechanism of reducing the toxin formation in the body. A thorough review about the different antioxidants, that of isoflavone, the food sources from which they are derived, and the cooking technique required to preserve their beneficial benefits are also covered. Some recipes are like butternut squash citrus soup, beet salad with port wine vinaigrette, Napoleon salad, etc. These are very, I have tried also. These are extremely easy to make, and they're very tasty and looks very vibrant because the color of these vegetables are retained while you cook them. In chapter 4, she tells that how to balance the energy, because nowadays young people, they they spend more time in sitting down, and they do not do extensive labor like people used to do before. So the amount of obesity, which is also a risk factor for inflammation, is very high in them, and that is also due to the activity level. So the easiest method to correct this imbalance is to increase physical activity while reducing the calorie consumption. So physical exercise is essential to this attempt, since it alters body composition. In addition to burning extra calories, it improves the blood's level of high density lipoprotein or good cholesterol and helps the heart to stay well. So now she tells like how to do it. She says that while you are examining your cabinet, or while you're going for grocery shopping, or while you're cooking meals, you should also see the amount of calories which is mentioned in the label while you're purchasing it from the supermarket. The author provided a workout plan which consists of listing every item in the kitchen completely, checking the labels for fat and calorie content, and discarding anything with a lot of fat or calories, making a list of these things to throw out, and making a promise not to buy them again, and even though they can be a source of momentary happiness. The author related to the readers' day-to-day struggles and planned a way for grocery shopping, where she advised the readers to shop mostly in the outer aisles of the supermarket, avoiding the center aisles where the majority of the processed foods products are kept. In the 5th chapter, she said that be carb savvy, where various types of carbs which are labeled as good or bad, they create a positive or negative consequence. And she told that the carbs which are refined in nature, that should be like sugar, honey, all these things are very, they are glucose, and they increase the inflammation in the body. So they said that to reduce this refined sugar and use list of sugar replacements, And so that the the consumers are not confused, she used all these replacements or artificial sweeteners and made different recipes using the the artificial sweeteners, like almond cookies, almond biscotti, applesauce cake, cherry walnut balls. So all these she made. So I found this book very, interesting. The eating plan she provided is not a strictly weight loss diet like other recipe book. It is very much sustainable. It is very much flexible. It is more of a like lifestyle change, which you can do your entire life, and there is no depriving yourself from bad food or simply, but you should moderate it. The recipes are very simple and easy to execute, not demanding very overpriced food products. Basic nutritional information for each recipe, including how much to serve, cooking methods, cooking temperature, nutritional analysis, including macro and micronutrient information also. The presentation of the recipes, if you see the book, it is spellbounding, so colorful. High quality pictorial representation is there, which takes the book to a whole new level. I would recommend this book to people looking for a quick overview with recipes, but not to nutritionists, because nutritionists, they will be planning everything. They will be they already know all these things. But people who are layman, who can who do not know like how to introduce a new diet plan, they can always check this book, and they can reduce the inflammation in the body by using the food products or using these recipes in their diet. So this book would be advantageous for people interested in quick library picks and searching for anti-inflammatory foods. It is a fantastic resource for anyone trying to live a more veggie-friendly lifestyle. That is, people who want to be vegan and avoid processed foods. That will be, this book will be a kick for them. This book is beneficial to people or starting an Mediterranean or anti-inflammatory diet journey, where he or she can get a clarity or list of anti-inflammatory foods versus inflammatory foods, and what foods are bad and why. All these doubts will be clarified. The book is a collection of delectable recipes centered on whole grains, fresh vegetables, fruits, healthy fats, and herbs that inspires changes in the mindfulness of the people who want to inculcate a very good lifestyle. And also they can throw a dinner party, and that will be a showstopper also for the guests. So these ingredient combinations are based on years of research into how certain foods can reduce inflammation and improve happiness and promote well-being. This book is not solely a healthy cookbook. There are fitness and wellness tips and know-how in there too. It's just the thing of, if one is after some inspiration to start some new healthy habits, they can always choose these books. And not only that, it has small writings with some blocks like for your information, and it makes the book very different and interesting from other books, where the author had provided the readers with tokens of crucial information about the dietary changes, nutrition, etc. There are index of words used in this book, which has been mentioned in alphabetically order. So if you're searching for something in the alphabetical order, you can definitely search the book's pages, and you can save time. But there are certain changes which I would also emphasize on. So what are the future editions of the book should have? So a list of references along with a bibliography, making it more evidence-based rather than a basic overview for the nutritionists. If some nutritionist wants to go through the book, they will definitely need a lot of references. Adding footnotes and more recent literature, and indicating the date, that which year this paper was published, where this has been proved. Statements made on the book's cover may be up to interpretation, while suggestions made about antioxidants and cancer inside the text may be viewed as contentious by experts like nutritionists, but not identified as such by laymen. So most relevant and recent literature involving the use of prebiotic or different beneficial bacterial culture, a probiotic, and the relation of gut or the good bacterial balance in reducing the inflammation also needs to be discussed. So I did not find this in the book. So the conclusion of this book is that anti-inflammatory foods for health, hundreds of ways to incorporate omega-3 rich foods into your diet to fight cancer, arthritis, heart disease, and more is a marvelous cookbook guide for beginners for transforming the amateurs into a healthy pro chef, enriching their knowledge about a variety of anti-inflammatory foods to maintain a good health and well-being. It is very creative, therapeutic, and nutritious, and yet easy to follow recipe set. And unquestionably, it is a keeper to liven up the kitchens as well as the mind and body. Thank you. With this note, I end my session.
Excellent, Anandita Ghosh.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Professor, this is really wonderful. You made it in very short, but if we allow you, I know that you can speak on and inflammation. I see that we can come up with a book on just inflammation in common man.
Yes, sir, definitely.
And we have a lot of information for the past 2 years on the inflammation itself. So we'll discuss that separately. And if anyone has a quick question, please take it, or the better yet, put all your questions to Geeta ji, and Ghosh ji will come back, Anandita ji will come back with appropriate answers to you right away in the next 1 week.
Yes, sure.
I have one question. Is this book available? We can buy the book?
Yes, ma'am, definitely. It is available in Amazon. And I recommend this book.
Okay.
I have this in my college library.
Okay. No, because it's very useful. I see that, and it's I see that I think can get a lot of information on this book. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And not only this book, all the other 49 books we already have selected for you, the India Home members and other members on this call. They're all available. They're all the most popular books. They are the most respected authors. Therefore, we are trying to present them to you.
Dr. Rao, is it possible for you to send a list of books that you are doing that, so that we have the name with us? So whenever we order, we have the name with us?
Sure. I have the full list.
Okay.
I'll send it right away to Geeta ji, and I
Okay.
hope we can cover all these books.
No, this book, I'm finding it really useful. I'm thinking that I should order this book. It's really very helpful what I
Anita
go
ji,
back to.
you can stop the presentation and
Yes,
be in the
yes.
focus
Yes.
so that people can see you, because association memory is very important. Then that will be very useful for all of us, because I can, or anyone can do these presentations, but when it comes from faculty like you, young nutritionists, teaching, practicing, it will be received at a very different level. Thanks for your enthusiasm.
Thank you, sir. Means a lot to me.
Yes.
We'll sail along. It's not just one presentation. And I'm seeing that each one of you who are coming onto this program are excellent. I know you are excellent because you have come on your own with your interest. No one has actually forced. Just we sent the information to you, either me or Professor Kavita Menon.
Yes, sir.
And you don't have to do this. This is you have taken a lot of additional work from your time, or to enjoy, or to read, or work, and we are very appreciative of this. And I hope it will be rewarded in future, both in your career and in our lives.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Very kind, sir. Thank you.
Yes,
Monica, any closing statements? Monica, you have to do the closing statements and close the meeting. 2 more minutes or 3 more minutes, whatever Geeta ji allows you.
yes, yes, Monica. You are muted. Monica, you are muted.
Yeah, it was really wonderful presentation, Anandita. As a professor, you nailed it, and we actually kept listening like a students. It was really great, wonderful presentation. Hoping to hear a lot of like these contents in future.
Thank you so much.
And
Thank you so much.
similarly, welcome. Similarly, we do have other book summary synopsis coming up, which we will be discussing with Professor Dr. Srinivas Rao sir, and we will be letting you know along with the presentation. Thank you, everyone. It was really nice networking with all of you, and also to exchange such glances with all of you, to have one practical questions coming up, which will be followed for our future in daily lives. It's really nice. Hope everybody have enjoyed and gained practical knowledge of using it daily.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so much.
much. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you, Anandita. Thank you, Aditi. Thank you, Monica, for coming to India Home and getting so much of knowledge to our India Home seniors. We appreciate your services. I know, like, it's all passion. What I could see is like passion. You guys are getting it to seniors' knowledge. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Srinivas Rao, for getting these kind of informative sessions to our seniors. Definitely, when he forwards all the book names, like, I'm going to give it to you all. Thank you all. Bye bye, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Rest of the day.